Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Preimesberger, editor of eWEEK. Thanks for joining us today for our latest eWEEK eSpeaks segment. Our interviewee today is Ganesh Pai. Is that correct, Ganesh? Did I get your last name right?
Absolutely got it right. You nailed the pronunciation.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure I didn't ask you that before. But anyway, Ganesh, welcome. And are you the CEO and founder of Uptycs?
Chris, yes, I am. And thanks for the opportunity to be here.
Tell me about the company. It's called Uptycs, spelled very unusually. What does that mean? Where did you get that name?
Yeah, during the ideation phase of the venture, what we wanted to do was come up with a simple name, a unit measure of tracking how long a system has been up for is called as uptime. And the idea was to do something around uptime analytics. And the two words were combined together, and the result was Uptycs.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear about it. Now, I understand it's an endpoint security solution. Can you tell me about what new spin you bring to the table here? Because there's quite a few companies out there doing endpoint security.
That's correct, Chris. It's incredibly noisy space. You're absolutely right. What we at Uptycs do is we've provided a new approach in this domain of endpoint security. Our approach, if you will, is inspired by dealing with data while it is being streamed, which is to say that we understand the behavioral aspects of a system. We stream it to a platform, and the platform observes how the behavior changes. And by that, we're able to figure out if there's anything malicious going on in the endpoint. The novelty and the uniqueness of what we do probably is that as opposed to doing the logic of all of that in the endpoint, we've shifted it into the cloud. Our approach inspires a lot of confidence in many organizations, and that has fortunately led to some good success for us.
That's good. How long has the company been in business?
We are a mid-stage startup. We've done a couple rounds of funding so far. We are Series B and 4+ years into existence to date today, Chris.
Okay. All right. So now we know that a high percentage of malware and just system attacks come in through endpoints. Why is the company focusing on endpoints, first of all, and what are some of the new things that you bring to the table that others maybe don't have?
Yeah, so we approach the things in a unique way, but at the end of the day, if you look at any security practitioners and what they have to protect, it usually falls into a couple of categories. There is a category of assets, as in their productivity endpoints or their production endpoints, as in servers in the cloud, or where these environments run in the cloud, as in some kind of a cloud provider. People want to proactively and reactively figure out what's happening on these machines. At the end of the day, what we provide for our customers is two things. From a proactive stance, we help them audit and remain compliant. From a reactive stance, we observe the behavior of their endpoints, whether it's production or productivity endpoints. And the analytics that we provide give comfort to our customers that we can predict potentially in some areas that things might be going wrong. In other cases, when things do go wrong, as an example, if there is a breach, we help reduce the dwell time by quickly telling them what went wrong so that they can take appropriate steps for coming up with a response.
Okay, well, that's always interesting. Do you have your own AI kind of engine in this, or element inside the software that helps do these predictions, or what?
That's a great question. We don't specifically use AI. We use a lot of statistics and aggregate SQL-based analytics. The challenge, as you alluded to, is one of finding a needle in a haystack. Usually organizations are extremely leery about the problem of identifying a needle in a haystack, because what's otherwise called as anomaly detection is intrinsically a very hard problem to solve. While we certainly have the data set and the capabilities to address it as such, We go about doing things using a statistical approach. At the end of the day, you can equate statistics being machine learning and equate it to being artificial intelligence. But statistics plus aggregate SQL analytics gives a lot of visibility to our customers, and that is sufficient in more often than not use cases to like make it of compelling value to them.
Okay. SQL analytics, interesting. It's not AI, but it's knowledge that's baked into the software. Is that correct? Is that pretty much it? And does this work? Now, the internal threats are often more frequent or can be more dangerous than external threats to a system. How does Uptycs work? To stop or to halt internal threats. Somebody who's working inside the company, or somebody who's gotten access to credentials inside the company and is running wild inside. How do you guard against that kind of a threat?
Now, great question there, Chris. Two parts I'll answer. First, I'll address the whole notion of SQL-powered analytics.
Mm-hmm.
That is primarily to showcase the fact that our approach is extremely structured when it comes to collecting the telemetry.
Mm-hmm.
The presentation that we provide solves a lot of problems around the use cases that you just mentioned, which I'll describe in a second. But the way we collect the data, we harness it, it also gives comfort to our customers that should anything not be surfaced immediately by our technology, that it's one join away where they can correlate all the telemetry that we've harnessed and find out things which our platform was not able to detect because it didn't have the logic in it, right? So that's one aspect. Now, to the second aspect of your question on how do we do detection, whether it's insider or external threats, and your point is absolutely valid that if it's an insider threat, it could be far more challenging. What we do, which is somewhat unique and novel, is that we model the behavior of an endpoint similar to how one might model the behavior of a buyer when someone's going through buying something on the internet and trying to do something as a shopping cart experience. If you put aside what we do for a second, when you're going through the act of adding a couple of items into a shopping cart today, and you decide to like close the browser, a decision system in the cloud realizes that you're not going to be completing the transaction, and they might give you a 10% coupon to close the transaction. The reason they're able to do is that there is proven behavior that your web browser behavior and what you're doing might be leading indicators of your buying intent. In a similar way, we use the operating system's telemetry to model the behavior to say what might be happening on the endpoint. And those usually are exceedingly good leading indicators that maybe there's something malicious, maybe there's something anomalous and heading in the wrong direction. And the way we action that telemetry yields similar results to these decision systems, which I outlined earlier. Hopefully that made good sense to you.
Yeah, I think so. Does the software require an agent on each device, or is this something that it's centrally controlled, but then that's what I mean. Does it need to have an agent on every device or not?
Correct. And the question of agent versus no agent is almost a big point of discussion. Our solution is based on agent.
Okay.
But a couple of things that we do, which gives a lot of comfort to our customers and which makes our solution very viable, is that one, we use an open source agent, which means that what it is going to be doing on your platform is well established and known to the users of the platform.
Mm-hmm.
Second, it is very lightweight. And third, it operates primarily as a sensor. The intent is that it captures telemetry and does not try to apply sophisticated logic on the endpoint. Instead, it sends the telemetry into the cloud where someone else can act on the telemetry and then decide what needs to be done. Very specifically, in our case, what we do is that we capture telemetry for two types of scenarios. We capture things from a proactive stance where someone wants to audit and find out, is the basic high cyber hygiene on this machine quite good. If not, if there are a bunch of things need to be changed, we should encrypt the disk. The firewall should be enabled. Those audit findings will go a long way towards ensuring that your basic security is right. And then the telemetry which is being sent can also be used to say that is something deviating from a baseline? Is this behavior normal or not, right? And that allows you to like reactively figure out if something is tending in the wrong direction. Maybe that there is something wrong out here, which is otherwise called as detection, if you will, right? So, and the detection based on the telemetry allows you to do investigation and potentially remediation after that. So that's how we provide technology which is agent-based, and the richness of the agent allows us to accomplish all of this.
Okay, it makes a lot of sense. And finally, how would you describe your customer base? Do you have a particular sector that you're selling to, or is it pretty much horizontal across the board, or is it too soon to tell?
No, we've got clear patterns based on our customer engagement. Some of these customers you can get a feel for by going to a website called as osquery@scale.com. We use an open source sensor called as osquery. But if we look at our customer base, I would say that it's a mix of cloud native companies and very large sophisticated enterprises. Some of our largest deployments are well north of 200,000 plus servers for a single customer in the fintech segment. And the problems that we solve is that when you start thinking about scale, it becomes a very interesting angle. The question might be as trivial as, have you rotated your password across all your machines in the last 30 days? It's easy to answer that question for a machine. When someone asks you to do it for 300,000 machines right now and give you an answer, what exactly happened on these machines, it poses a lot of challenges to many organizations. So the scale aspect of even doing something simple and audit like that is what we enable. And then, of course, the agent being lightweight and our ability to do everything in the cloud allows us to like really scale well. Those are other reasons why our customers engage with us. And in some ways, if you will, what I just said is important to like fintech and other large organizations because they have a lot to lose, which is otherwise to say that the risk is really important for them. We alleviate that risk.
All right. Ganesh Pai, CEO of Uptycs, and that's security that scales. Congratulations, Ganesh. Sounds like you're in a good lane.
Thank you, Chris. Yes, we're quite fortunate.
Good. Glad to have you on eSPEAKS. So thanks for joining.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
And for everybody following along to the very end here, thank you very much. Have a great rest of your eWEEK. Thanks for joining us on eWEEK eSpeaks. Go to eWEEK.com to hear more conversations with IT thought leaders.